Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey player who currently is signed with the Reading Royals in the East Coast Hockey League, Shane Sellar. Shane most recently played with the Reading Royals last season, but before his time in the professional leagues, he spent time in junior hockey in the USHL and the United States Hockey League and the North American Hockey League in the NAHL with the Janesville Jets. And he also spent 6 years of NCAA Division I college hockey, 4 years with Dartmouth College, and then 2 years after that with RPI. So I'm really excited to get you on, Shane. So welcome to the show, Shane Sellar.
Thank you very much, Jack. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super pumped to get you on. But to start things off, like, how's the off season going for you? Like, it's a grind right now. So how's that going?
Yeah, it's been really good. I think obviously it starts off slow a little bit. Just kind of get yourself back into the flow of things after a couple weeks off from the end of the season. But now we're in the last little bit of time, like 2 months before the season, where everything starts to pick up. The skates get a little more intense. The lifts start to get a little harder. But it's really fun, especially when you got a couple guys around you that are also going through the same thing. So it's just pushing each other every day to get better.
Yeah, love that. That's what it's all about. It's the most fun time of the off season when you're getting in gear for the season and everything starts picking up. Like, it's the best feeling in the world throughout this off season.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great time. You just kind of it's close, but you try not to overtrain it all and push yourself too much. But you got to do everything you can to be ready for when the puck drops come October.
Yeah, exactly. But you guys went on quite a bit of a playoff push this year. So, like, what's like the your off season look like when you do get knocked out of the playoffs, and like how long do you take off before you get back into it?
Yeah, obviously I think we lost in the middle of May this year, which being a first year pro guy, it's playing late into the summer almost, and into the spring, I guess. But I took about 3 weeks off after our season. We actually we were in Newfoundland for a couple of days, I think like 4 days after we lost. So took some time off there, and then finally once I got home, took about another 2 weeks off, and then started getting back in the gym, just kind of get the body right. And then took about a month off from skating, and then just slowly started to get back to it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Is giving your some time to recover, because especially going into so far into May and everything and into the postseason, like, your body is just getting destroyed every single day. But it's worth getting like all the rest that you need after that break.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a change from college hockey, going from whatever 35, 40 games to now playing 72 in the regular season plus whatever you got in playoffs. So it's definitely a grind, but it's some well deserved time off once the season ends.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get into like last season, you're recently re-signed with the Reading Royals. So how excited are you to get back to Reading?
Definitely very excited. As being a kid from Pennsylvania, living about an hour from Reading, it's awesome to be able to play so close to home. So like my parents are able to come to all the games, my family can come, and it's the first time I've played so close to home since like Bantam hockey when I was 14. So it's honestly really nice to be back in Reading, and it's a first class organization with awesome fans.
Yeah, and you guys got like all the experience from this past season in the playoffs. So hopefully you guys go for another long playoff push this year.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. We definitely have a good group coming back. So it'll be great to see how we can finish up the year next year.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to get into last season here. So you were obviously with the Royals and you played 70 games of the 72, notching 39 points. So what was last season like for you personally?
Yeah, I think it started out a little slow. Obviously, you kind of come into pro hockey, and I know I got my feet wet the year before at the end of my college season. But it's a different feel. The Obviously the intensity is always different towards the beginning of the year. And I think it took a little bit of time to adjust. But once I did, I kind of felt right at home. I think the style of hockey fits the way I play a little bit better, compared to college hockey. And then just as you get more comfortable playing with your teammates and your line mates, and things just start rolling, and you kind of find your role in pro hockey. And once that happened, I settled down, and it was just fun playing.
Yeah. So what is your role of with the team in pro hockey? Would you would say?
Yeah, I think definitely more of a grinder. Not a skill guy at all. Definitely chipping some pucks in, doing some of the dirty work. But more being a 200-foot player. Just being good in the D zone, solid in the D zone, and then I think part of it too is contributing on the offense and being able to put some pucks in the back of the net and make plays. And then killing penalties, getting the job done on the PK, making sure the opposition doesn't score there.
Yeah, those are like that's like one of the most underlooked like roles in the game is just the grind guy, the guy that's gonna go in the corners, grind it out and like get the dirty goals and everything and kill penalties like you said. So
Yeah.
it's one of the most underlooked. Like when you get the job done, you get the job done. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome. And sometimes it's some of that stuff goes unnoticed. It's not the prettiest stuff, but at the end of the day, you need those players on a team to help you win.
Yeah, exactly. But like throughout like your first pro season, like what's the biggest things you learn, especially with coming in with your role as a grinder? Like what do you learn from the professional game?
Yeah, I think one of the things I learned mostly was just kind of how dialed in you have to be every night. It's a long season, but if you don't show up every night, like you're gonna get exposed, and it's gonna show. And it's tough. Like it's a long season, but you have to find kind of the balance between like being the best you can every night, but also doing like everything you can for your team to win that night. Like if it's a night where you're not feeling your best, you got to find some other way to contribute.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're able to figure that out. And like I'm sure at the start, like you said, it was tough to find that role and find like the different learning experiences that comes with it. But like once you find it out, like you just what do you so like what do you do to prepare your body for everything for like the grind part of the aspect of the game and just to find that role?
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff for me was just making sure I was fully recovered. Obviously, college hockey's 35 games
Yeah.
and you play 2 games a week and then you get a couple days off and then you're back at it. Whereas pro hockey, it's a lot of, especially in the coast, it's a lot of 3-and-3s or playing 4 games in a week sometimes. And it's about finding what you need to do on the ice to prepare yourself, but also what you got to do off the ice, and also like knowing when to take an optional skate if you have to, or take a morning skate off because you need it, or you're not feeling your best. But I think once you really get into a routine, it kind of just flows from day to day.
What are those 3-and-3, 4-and-5 games like? Like what like it's a mental grind and a physical grind. It's like what are those games like?
Oh, they're brutal. It's a lot better when you know your opposition's playing the same 3-and-3, so you're playing the same team 3 times in a row. Um, but when you get to Sunday, it's like our coaches say it best all the time. It's a mental game.
Yeah.
It's whose brains are going to be turned on for 60 minutes and who's just going to play simple and get the job done. And it's that one or two shifts your brain turns off and you think you can when you actually can, and it's a difference in a game.
Yeah, just being simple, like that's the biggest thing, especially when you get those grueling games. Just keep it simple, don't overdo stuff. And it's hard because like you said, you're overthinking everything and like your mental side is just done. But like at least you're just got to keep it simple and hopefully everything works out from there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's even more important. Like they're as much as they suck during the regular season, I think they're crucial too.
Yeah.
Because come playoff time, like if you have to play a 3-and-3, you got to be even more dialed in, and I think it's just good preparation for that.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to get into your first goal, the first goal of the season that you scored, where it's your first professional goal. Like what happened with that play, and like what was the feeling like getting that first pro goal out of the way?
Oh, it was one of the greasiest goals I think I've ever scored. It was a D man kind of drove the net down low. Took a backhander and the puck was just kind of sitting in the crease, like right on the goal line. And I don't think the goalie knew where it was. And I just kind of took like a baseball swing at it, just batted it in. It went in like right over the goalie's shoulder. Didn't really know it went in at first, but once I saw, it's kind of like a little sigh of relief because
Yeah,
throughout the first couple of games, like I definitely knew I had chances and I should have scored, and that kind of starts to weigh on you. Like you got to get the first one out of the way. So once it happened, I think for me, it's just like a weight off the shoulders, and it
Yeah.
allows you just like you just go play now. Like you're not worried about it. You just keep going to play and having fun.
Yeah, you're always worried about that getting that first goal, that first assist. Like I know that first pro win for me, I was like it was a huge sigh of relief when it finally came. But like you get like that chip off the shoulder and then like it's like you said, it's go time. You could play hockey. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So it's a great feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And like you always go in every year, and you're just like you don't want to think about getting that first one or like getting off to a good start, but like at the back of your head, you know it's a great feeling when it happens, and you
Yeah.
know it's just like all right, like now we can kind of forget about everything and just go play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But talking about like the coast and everything, like you always hear about like the coast and like it's a grind and like so like what was your story that you're like welcome this is the coast, like welcome to the coast.
Ah, welcome to the coast. I think it's got to be. We had some brutal trips this year. So there was one. I don't know how early it was into the season, but we went down, we played a game in Norfolk on Wednesday night, and instead of like doing anything else, we bussed straight to Worcester. So it's just like a 10.5 hour bus ride. Normally, I think our bus driver made it about 12 hours. We got in at like 9 in the morning, Thursday morning. And thankfully we had the day off, and then we played a 3-3 then from Friday through Sunday up in Worcester. And it was just like, what are we doing? At this point, I was just like, this is a brutal bus ride. Like, and we don't have a sleeper in Reading.
Oh,
We were on a coach bus for 12 hours, just like you're either trying to get comfortable in a seat or sleep on the floor. And it was just miserable.
were you able to get any sleep that night?
I think I slept from about 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then got woken up because it was like, hey, we're at the rink, time to go unpack your equipment. So,
At least coach wasn't like, yeah, morning practice, morning skate now, right
oh,
after you get off the bus.
seriously, at least we got some downtime, got to go to the hotel and get some sleep. But yeah, we did that. We did that trip like 3 times last year, and it was just brutal. It
It
was
doesn't get any easier.
no. By the third one, you're just like, this sucks.
Gotta love those stories that come out of playing and everything. Like those are the best memories that you make throughout the season. You're gonna remember for forever.
Exactly. Like those are the fun times, and it's just like, especially having like the day off there when you get there. It's like, all right, the boys are just hanging out. You do whatever you do as a team, or go see a movie, do something. But it's just like those are the fun times that you get. That some people kind of forget about.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes the stories all worth it though at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I want to get into like your first like your first stint with the Reading Royals right out of school. So you
Yep.
were at RPI and then you went straight into the Reading Royals right after the season. So like what was the process like to sign that deal with Reading to get right into it?
Yeah. So I think I after our season ended, I kind of just called my agent and was just like, hey, like still want to play this year. I think I still have some juice in the tank left. And I was talking to my one coach at RPI, and he kind of was just like, listen, like it might not be the best idea. You never know, like if you go into a situation where you don't play well or whatnot, like why not just go in next year and start on a fresh start? Um, and it was actually great. My agent called me like a day later and said, hey, like Reading's looking at bringing you in. Think it's a good opportunity. And it was great. Like the coach at the time, Kirk McDonald, is actually an RPI graduate. So
There you
he's
go.
familiar with the school. So it was like perfect, like little familiarity there. The coach at least can know where I'm coming from. But also it's just like nice to go close to home too. Is like why wouldn't I jump on that opportunity? So I took full advantage of it and went in. But so it was great.
Yeah, that's always a good experience. Like when you get like that familiarity, like the coach is like an RPI graduate, like you said. So like you're like you have someone that you can talk to about like just getting into the pro game and all that, and then just being close to home, like you said. Like there's nothing better than that, and your family, your friends are gonna come, so it makes that experience all more better.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like because then you go your first game and you got some support behind you. Like
Yeah,
obviously the parents will always travel no matter what, and I'm sure they would have came to the first game wherever it was, but just like playing so close to home for that first one was so nice.
Yeah, what was that first game like? And just were you just like did you have the jitters, or were you nervous? Like what were the emotions throughout that first game?
Yeah, I think I was definitely nervous, but I think like once like the first shift or two got under my belt, I think I kind of realized it's just another game of hockey.
Yeah.
There's obviously it's differences between college and pro hockey. And that takes some learning, but once I figured that out, it's like, hey, like just go have fun and play your game, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, yeah, you gave it your best.
Yeah, that's all that matters at the end of the day, is just giving it your all and giving it everything you got, no matter what the outcome is.
Exactly, because in my mind, I never knew if I'd get another opportunity. Like
Yeah.
maybe I wasn't good enough, and this showed me, but I think it worked out for the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now you're signed back to Reading for the season, so something's working out there.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, but I want to get into your college career a little bit here. This is where you spent 6 years playing college hockey in college. So like you started your first 4 years at Dartmouth and then the last two at RPI. So like what was your 6 year of college hockey journey like?
It was interesting. It was a long time. Um, Not how I would have expected it to go at all. Um, I played 3 years at Dartmouth, and then my fourth year, I got hurt like two practices before the season started. Season-ending injury, and I think that kind of took a toll on me. Was obviously it sucks. Like you want to play your senior year at the school you spent 4 years at, and
Yeah.
and that's the best time. Like you want to go out with your class. Um, and especially for me, knowing in the Ivy League you can't do a fifth year. So I knew I had to go somewhere else right away, and that just kind of sucked. It was just like brutal because you never, at least in my mind, I never got that closure that I really would have loved to. And then that senior year too was when COVID started. So it's like, hey, March, we all went home and never came back, which sucked too. So
Yeah.
you don't get a senior spring at all. Then I grad transferred to RPI. My fifth year, we got to campus. All things were kind of hopeful. And then all of a sudden, our school president cancels the season because of COVID. And it's like, what am I gonna do now? Like
Yeah.
the second year off of hockey for me, like not playing a single game. Like, can I even still do it? And I was just like, maybe I'm just gonna be terrible when I come back, and like I just gotta hang them up. But gave it a chance my sixth year, went back, and it all worked out for me. So no complaints.
Yeah, so like a crazy path and a crazy journey for you throughout college, especially with like that injury and then the pandemic coming into play and everything. But like, what was that like injury like? Like, what you have to do to like recover and like come back stronger than before?
Yeah, I tore my MCL, meniscus, and one other ligament in my knee. Don't remember off the top of my head. They found that out when they went in for the surgery. Um, but kind of after that, it was kind of tough. My parents came up, got me through surgery, stayed for a night. Um, then they dropped me back off in my dorm room, and they're like, "Hey, we got to go home. Like, we got to go to work." And I was just on my own. Like, I I'm on crutches for like the first time ever in my life. Like still miserable. Like I couldn't get in and out of bed on my own at school. It's how bad my knee hurt. But we grinded through, and I give all the credit to our athletic trainer at school at Dartmouth. He worked with me for hours on hours every single day, whether it was, hey, come see me in the morning before class so we can do some rehab, or all 2 hours of practice while everyone's on the ice. He wouldn't even go watch practice. He would just work with me in the training room. Um, and thankful to him, like I was
Yeah.
able to start skating 3.5 months later in what should have
Wow.
been a 6 month recovery. So that was awesome. Like he helped me so much. But then also is like started skating back at school like once playoffs came around. And then obviously the pandemic started. So it was like I started feeling good. And then everything gets shut down. I go
Yeah.
home, don't have a athletic trainer to see, don't have someone to skate with. Like So it was just like, I was like, what am I going to do now? And I was just kind of in a weird spot where it was like towards probably what I would say the most important part of my rehab now. And I was just stuck on my own. And that was one of the hardest things ever.
Oh, that's just brutal. You face all that adversity, get back together, get everything back in 3 months, which you said should have been a 6-month recovery. So like that was huge. And then
Yeah.
think everything's going right and everything, and then that happens, and you're like, oh, like what's going on here? And but at least you're able to get healthy in 3 months, and just like what was that first skate back and just being able to try to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, it was honestly great. I got out after practice one day and the coach just kind of looks over and he's like, "What are you doing on the ice right now?" And I was like, "Hey, I got cleared to start skating, man." He's like, "That's awesome." He kind of looks at me, he goes, "You want to play in playoffs?" And I was like, "No chance I can even try." Like, it was so weird. Like, you take so much time off and everyone's probably like, "Oh, it's so easy to come back." Like
Yeah,
you do it every day of your life. And it's just like it's completely awkward and
just lose everything.
you feel like you're trying to learn how to skate again. And that's exactly what I thought. I was like, geez, like you're just learning how to take a stride again, learning how to push off. And I was doing all that obviously in a brace when I got back. And then I think once that time with COVID hit, when I got some extra time off on my own at home, I started skating again finally in like I think it was like April or May, about 2 months later. And I realized I was like, I spent 2 months just like trying to strengthen my leg. And I was like, great, I don't need a brace anymore. So I think when I learned to skate again, I didn't need a brace. So it felt normal to me.
Yeah.
So now, like when I play, I don't even need a brace anymore. Like it's perfect. Whereas I think if I stayed at school, I would have kept skating with a brace all the time and would have just felt comfortable with it and would have needed it to this day.
Yeah, it's crazy what like one thing, like one situation could do if like with the brace, like you stay in a brace, you probably would still be in a brace, but like you decide to take it off and everything, and then like you're back to normal, and your leg is fully strengthened to where it should be to support you after that injury. And it's just crazy to just see everything that how it progresses and how you're able to develop throughout that time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think obviously like, the biggest thing for me was always trying to find some positive in every single
Yeah.
day through that. And I think that's what got me through it.
Yeah, so like what did you think about like to make those like positive thoughts happen, especially when everything's going wrong?
Yeah, I think it was tough. Like there was times where I thought it was just time to hang them up and put my education to use. Like obviously Dartmouth's a very good school, and I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm in a position to just get a job and start my career and whatever that is. Um, but I think just deep down, I didn't get the closure I wanted at school, and it was just like I need something after this, whatever it is. Like I need to at least try to put the skates back
Yeah.
on and play competitively again, um, just to see if it's even possible. Because you go out and obviously you never know when your last game is.
Yeah.
But I think as cliche as that sounds, is like I didn't want that last one the year before when my season ended in junior year to be my last one. So
Yeah, so like what were those first 3 years of college hockey like at Dartmouth, and just getting comfortable with like the college game, especially since like you said earlier, it didn't really like fit your style or your role. So like what were those first 3 years like?
yeah, I think it was a little bit of a learning curve to start. And when I went in, I was in a class of 11 freshmen, so it was like we're just battling each other every single day for like which kid's gonna crack the lineup, which kid isn't. Um, and the first like I was scratched the first 3 games of the season, and as fortunate as I was, a kid got suspended for a game. Um, so I finally got in the lineup in our fourth game of the year and didn't get taken out after that. And it was just like, so I was obviously thankful I got in, like thankful a kid got suspended, but also like I feel really bad. Like I don't want to see
Yeah.
my missing games that deserves to
Yeah.
play. Um, but I think it's just taking advantage of your opportunity. Like when you get a chance, you've got to go full force at it because you never know when your next opportunity is going to come.
Yeah, and like it seems like you took like that mindset into the pro game too. Like when you got your first contract with Reading, like you take advantage of that opportunity because you never know when like it might be your last one, or you never know when it could end. So just take advantage of every opportunity that you can get.
Exactly, and I think obviously like my goal once I got in the lineup in college, I think my goal was to do everything I can for the coaches not to be able to take me out of the lineup.
Yeah.
And it was just finding a role like, and I think each year was a little different role for me in college, and that's obviously it's tough when you're changing roles all the time, but the ability to adapt to that, I think allowed me to get as far as I did.
Yeah, and like I feel like that like helps grow your hockey IQ and everything when you're switching roles constantly, and like you're just learning the different situations of your roles. Like what were some of the biggest things you learned throughout that like role reversal every single year?
Yeah, I think one of the things was just being consistent in that role. But I also think too is just the ability to adapt. Then if somebody did get hurt or if somebody went down or things needed a shake up, it was like,
Yeah.
well, this kid's been there before, can play that role, so why not put him back there? So it was awesome to see that for me, where it was like, hey, I could play on the first line or second line, but then I could also play on the fourth line and be just as effective, or the third line. So I think it was just as long as sometimes too is like big communication sometimes, whether it's from the coaches or from somebody that says, hey, this is what we need out of you tonight, like that's perfect, or what we need out of you in this role, I think goes a long way. Whereas sometimes, you get some coaches that'll just like move you in the lineup and you have
Yeah.
zero clue why, and they just never talk to you, and it's a mind game then.
Yeah, and like once you like learn about that communication part and like what you're supposed to do for that role, like you just turn it on and just do whatever the coach wants you to do, especially because you want to stay in the lineup and you want to give them no choice but to keep you in there.
Exactly. And I think just being reliable in whatever spot you play is
Yeah.
crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. But then after Dartmouth, you went into RPI, like we said, where you played 1 year officially in college hockey because of the pandemic. So, like, what was your sixth year like for you, and just being able to get back in the game, in the swing of the game?
Yeah, I think it was awesome just to get back in the swing of things. The first game back was a preseason game, but I think in my head I was like, I'm treating this like a real game. Um, I know like some people probably think like, oh, it's preseason, like feel some things
Yeah,
out. But I think for me it was, what can I do to get back into game form as quick as I can, because I haven't played in forever. Um, but it was just kind of an unreal feeling once I took the ice for the first time, and I knew I made the right choice in coming back, whether it was to RPI or to any school, to play another year. It was just awesome.
yeah, and like especially since like you didn't play for what two years before that.
It was 2.5 years off the
Yeah,
ice of games.
yeah, 2.5 years. So what was it like getting into that first game and just like you said, you just want to figure things out, but just be finally in a game after 2.5 years.
Yeah, I think kind of one of the biggest things was like it just kind of felt normal to me, like it felt like home.
Yeah,
And like obviously you go through so much playing hockey, whether it's youth hockey, college, pro. And that's where I have the most fun. Like that's where I feel like my full self. And it was just like, hey, this is who I am. And not that I fully identify with hockey and that doesn't completely define me, but it's like,
yeah.
hey, that's who I am to a T. And it was just great to get back to that.
Yeah, and like you were able to get right back into it, and like you put up really good numbers throughout that year that you came back. So like, did you get like that closure with college hockey that you really wanted to get?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was my third year in a row when I'm playing, losing to Harvard in the quarterfinals of the playoffs.
Oh,
And that happens, and that's how it's meant to be. But I think too, like, yeah, I did get that closure in college hockey, whether it was the exact ending I wanted or not. It was nice to at least play that final year.
yeah, that was huge, especially since you face all that adversity, and just to be able to come back and play a full season like that probably made everything, like going through everything you did to get back, way better, and like it just felt a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like it's a weight off your shoulders knowing you put the work in for something and it paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to get into youth hockey and junior hockey a little bit here before we wrap things up. So, you're from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So, like, what was it like growing up in PA?
Yeah, it was. it's a little different. There wasn't when I was growing up, there wasn't a ton of hockey. There wasn't AAA hockey until I was a peewee. Like we didn't even have a AAA team in the area. The closest one was like the junior Flyers. So my parents were like, "Heck, we're not driving you 2 hours. Like we don't even know how serious you are or how good you are." Um, but so I didn't play AAA hockey until peewees, and even then, like there was only two AAA teams in the area. It was my birth year, thankfully, and then like 2 years above me. So it was kind of crazy growing up. It was just like once you got there, you played with the same kids every year pretty much.
Yeah, so and like throughout like that time when like you're growing up and you don't have AAA hockey, like what are you playing? Are you just playing like house or like what are you doing there?
Yeah, so I was playing double A hockey. We actually had some good double A teams in the area. Obviously you never really know. Like you play teams in your league and
Yeah.
that's at that level. So you don't know how good you are. But then once we got to triple A hockey and then like the Pee Wee Quebec tournament where we actually had a team in Hershey. So like once I made that team my first year, I was like, oh, like maybe I am like better than I thought I was at this
Yeah.
or have a chance to do something with hockey. So that kind of like at that age you start to get a sense of where you kind of fit in.
Yeah, it's like what was that transition going from double A hockey into your first year of AAA hockey when you were able to get into AAA hockey?
Yeah, I don't think it was that tough actually. I know like a lot of us, it was like a lot of kids from double A hockey that just came over and no one really played triple A before that because we didn't have one. Um, but I think we were just as competitive as every other AAA team in the area, and we were a good team. And I think it just goes to show that I don't think it matters what level you play at as you develop, because everyone's going to get to the spot they deserve to get
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, so like you're just going through the ranks of hockey and putting everything you have into it just to get to the highest level that you can.
Exactly, and like as you see, like there's always like great youth coaches, no matter what level you're at, and they're willing to put the work in to help you get better, whether it's skills on the ice or off the ice, and sometimes it's just playing for the right coach too.
Yeah, exactly. And like you spent like a lot of your time with the Hershey Junior Bears organization with AAA and AA. So like, what was it like being with an organization like the Hershey Junior Bears?
It was awesome. Cause so growing up, like my one of my coaches used to be the GM of the Hershey Bears, like the AHL team. So we would play our AAA games or like our Quebec team games right before Hershey Bears games at like 3 o'clock. So you're in the same area as these pro hockey players. Like you walk down the hall, our dressing room's right down the hall from them. Like so it was awesome kind of growing up in that environment and getting to learn from them and just having a coach that was so knowledgeable about the game and so high up in pro hockey to get to learn from that was almost invaluable to me as a player because you're learning from the best of the best at that point and it was a great experience.
Yeah, like you said, you're learning from the best of the best. Like you're around them whenever you have games and everything. So like you pick up on like what they do before the games or like what they do during warm-ups to get ready for the games. And I'm sure you watch a ton of the Hershey Bears games as well. So you just pick up things around there. So it's like it's a great experience to have and just to be able to be so close to a professional American Hockey League team there.
Yeah, it was unbelievable for me just being able to be around that environment, see what it's like, kind of learn from those guys a little bit, and whatever I could take away, I did every single
Yeah.
day I was there. So it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's unreal. But you also spent some time in the high school hockey in Pennsylvania as well as prep school. You went to Cumberland Valley High School and then Canterbury School for prep school. So like, what was your time throughout high school and prep school?
Yeah, high school was great. I think I just played high school hockey. Obviously, you want to play with your friends from
Yeah,
school, get a little bit extra games in besides AAA hockey. But yeah, I got to the point where I had to go to prep school pretty much. My dad really didn't want to drive me 2 hours or hour and a half for AAA hockey anymore a night for practices. So it was prep school at that time, and I think it was great for me because I really did value academics.
yeah,
So it allowed me to focus on academics in the school, but also hockey in a great environment.
yeah. And what so you think it was really good for like your development and just get yourself ready for going into junior hockey?
Yeah, I think so completely. I think I think more so being at prep school allowed me to kind of get used to the college life more
Yeah.
too. Because you're living in dorms, you're going to school, you got to go to practice after, potentially playing on days that you had class in the morning. So you got to dial it in and really change your focus. So I think that just fully more prepared me for the college hockey lifestyle.
Then after you went to Canterbury school for 2 years, where you were actually captain your last year there. So like, what was it like being like a leader within your team and within prep school?
Yeah, I think it was a humbling experience. I think anytime you get a chance to be a leader on a team, or wear a letter, you have a little more responsibility, whether it's to yourself, to your teammates, to your school, in that sense as well, to kind of to carry yourself a little bit higher, and have a little more. I don't want to say pride necessarily, but you know what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah.
But it's a great honor, and it's a good experience because it puts a little more burden on you. So I think it tests your capabilities a little bit more.
Yeah, so like throughout that year, like what you learn with having that C and being that leader and just helping the younger guys get used to prep school hockey.
Yeah, I think it definitely realized where you have to be more kind of more open every single day, especially at practice or off the ice.
Yeah.
You gotta know what's going on, the relationships between other guys. If kids having a bad day in class, like how can you help pick them up? And just those little responsibilities that you wouldn't necessarily think to notice if you're just another guy.
Yeah, it's like it's the little things that like make yourself a really good captain, a really good leader, because like you got like you said, you gotta know if a guy's having a bad day and how to pick him up, and just you can't always be like the bad guy. You gotta have like the good guy attitude as well to help pick up guys like you said.
Yeah, you gotta play both sides, and I think
Yeah.
it's also really important to know, like, when's the right time to speak up to the group. Like, is there a time where you say something, or is there a time where you just kind of let things go and hope it fixes itself out? And you always might catch some backlash for how you approach things or your leadership style from a coach or from some other teammates. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're the leader you are,
Yeah.
and I don't think you can change just because you get a letter.
Yeah, were you more of like the vocal leader, or were you just like a lead by example guy?
More lead by example. Like if I had to step up and say something, I would, but I'm not necessarily the meanest guy. Like
Yeah.
always have a smile usually, so it's hard to lean into some guys sometimes.
Yeah, I feel that's more I like I'm more of a lead by example kind of guy. Like I obviously could speak up if like I need to, but like I'm more of like the example guy and like just do whatever you can for the team to help yourself get better and help the team like move forward.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's always crucial too when like picking a leadership group. Like you got to have a little bit of balance. Like there's going to be the
Yeah.
lead by example guy, and you need somebody too that has that powerful voice that when they speak up, everybody's going to listen. So I think that's always crucial within a leadership group is knowing how to kind of play off each other's styles.
Yeah, and like that's one of the biggest things I learned this year is like I was part of like the leadership group within my team, and as a goalie, you're not usually part of like the leadership. You're just like
Yeah,
the guy that just stops the puck. But like I just definitely had to learn how to like balance the like stop the puck, and like obviously when you do that, you're gonna gain the respect from your teammates and everything. But like also if something needs to be done, like you gotta stand up and say something that the boys need to do, or if like as a collective leadership group to get like the point across to the team.
exactly. Yeah, and it's always tough because that one time you're having a bad day, like you still got to be there for everybody
Yeah.
else no matter what, and sometimes they come first.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you guys got to put everything you're dealing with behind you and just go for whatever you want or whatever you can for the do for the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then after Canterbury, you went on to play in Sioux Falls with the Stampede in the USHL, where you got 4 games that year that you were in prep school. So like, what was it like getting called to the USHL?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. I knew kind of going into the year I was gonna get some chances to get called up and play. They told me before I went back to school. But kind of going in, like that team ended up winning the USHL that year, and they were stacked. So it was like getting to play with some of those guys on that team was a great experience for myself. And it just kind of showed like what it would take to play at the next level for me as well.
Yeah, so like what do you have to learn to help you know that you can play at that level, and just especially since it's tier one juniors, like it's the top dog of junior hockey, like what do you have to learn from that experience?
I think it's knowing that every single night you're playing against the best kids in the country. Like those are the top kids that every single kid's playing Division One hockey. Like you're playing against NHL draft
Yeah.
picks. It's you got to have your best every single night, and if you're off, like it's going to show, or you're going to stick out a little bit. And I think too, it's just great because it's awesome because those are the same kids you're going to be playing against for 4 years in college too.
Yeah.
It's like these are the kids that are all going to play Division One hockey, and these are going to be the kids I'm competing against every single night for the next couple of years, and you got to find a way to be the best you can be.
Yeah, I feel that, like you're just gonna grow up with them the next 4 years, like you said. So you're competing against them, and you're going up against the best in the country. So you got to be ready for every single night.
Yeah, exactly. And it's you don't want to it's a development league at the same time. Like there's kids still learning how they play best, or still kind of growing into your body at that size, whether it's putting a couple
Yeah,
inches on or getting stronger in the gym. So I think that's just all part of playing junior hockey.
yeah, exactly. But like, what was your time in Sioux Falls like, and just being, because like I've heard nothing but great things about Sioux Falls. Like what's it like around there?
Oh, it's an unbelievable experience. I think it's a top notch, probably the best place you can play in the USHL. It's a great organization. Um, the rink I went in kind of the year after they just built that new rink.
Yeah,
So playing in front of 11, 12,000 fans most nights was unbelievable. It's like you play in such a small town and you wonder where all these people come from because you drive and drive and you don't see houses. But
yeah.
then 12,000 people show up on a Friday, Saturday night and they're going nuts for you. And it was awesome because like just the fan support for you is you could go anywhere there in that town and you were a celebrity. And I
That's
I
awesome.
think think it was awesome. It was a great experience because it's like you're just a 17, 18-year-old kid and they think the world of you there.
Yeah, you're just like an NHL player over there.
Yeah, exactly. We'd go out to eat sometimes and it's like you couldn't really go anywhere without somebody knowing who you played for, or who you were. So it was like you might have got some free stuff on the side, like, but they were always there to support you, and they were there to criticize too at times. Like if we weren't playing well, like they let us hear it, and I think that was good as well because sometimes it takes that from the fans, and it's a
Yeah.
different experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just experience, and just like even like during the like negative times, like they're still good. You could tell that they really care about the team. They really want the team to succeed. So just to have that, like it's awesome to just be around.
Yeah, and I think it goes to show like they're one of the best teams in the league every year, and they always have one of the best attendance records, which
Yeah.
I think just goes to show how loyal those fans are to their team there, and they love having the junior program there.
Yeah, absolutely. But then the following year, you got a full stint in the USHL with Sioux Falls, playing 27 games. But you also went to the North American League with Janesville Jets for 19. So like, what was that last year of junior hockey like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely kind of a wake up call for me. I was in not where I wanted to be in the lineup in the USH in Sioux Falls. Was fighting to crack the lineup most nights, and that's tough because in the back of my head I was like, man, I know I'm going to school next year, and like
Yeah,
I want to play. Like I want to develop, I want to get better, I want to do everything I can to put myself in the best situation. And that's sometimes tough when you're not in the lineup every single night. And I think that really kind of helped helped me kind of work on my work ethic in a way, like showing up to practice every single day, ready to work and battle. Cause like I knew I wasn't a guarantee in the lineup the next
yeah.
game. So like I got to do everything I can in practice to show why I should be in the lineup.
Yeah, and that like shows like your like work ethic and everything as well, and just that you're gonna be able to do, you're gonna be doing whatever you can to get in the lineup. because like you never know when that spot could be taken. So you're just doing whatever you can to make the coaches, like you said earlier, not take you out of the lineup.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta do everything you can because you know that one time you do something that allows them to take you out of the lineup is you never know when you're getting back in.
Yeah, exactly. But like, what was your time in the North American League, like in the NAHL?
It was awesome. I was really happy I got traded actually. It was kind of coming down to crucial time where it was like middle of February and it was just like I needed to play games at that point.
Yeah,
And I was really happy I got traded there. Coaching staff was phenomenal. It was a great group of guys too. And I think just for me, development wise, it was I needed those 2 months where I was playing a crucial role every single night and was counted on the team, just to really help get me ready for college hockey.
yeah. It's like, what do you do to help yourself develop down there in the NAHL?
I think I think it was just kind of go in with the same work ethic and attitude I had in Sioux Falls, whereas I'm gonna show up every single day wanting to get better and work as hard as I can. And just whatever happens, happens.
Yeah,
And I think that paid off for me because whether I played every single game or not, or whether I produced or not, I think for me mentally at that point and physically, I just needed to work as hard as I could and do the best I could to develop.
yeah. That's just awesome that you're able to go in with the same mindset, even though you're going from the USHL to the NAHL. Like, not saying that it's badly, but like you're getting sent down a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like it could take an ego shot at you, but like you went in with the same mindset and just go through with like your work ethic and just learn it as like a development piece to like help yourself and help your career in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. I know, like, especially for all the young kids out there too. It's like somebody's are like, oh, like that's a lower level of juniors or
Yeah,
whatnot. And it's like it is and it isn't. Like the USHL's only got 16 teams, right? Like there's 60 divisions. I don't know how many
yeah,
division colleges there are now, but it's like the NAHL still has Division 1 college commits. There's still teams that are stacked with those kids. So it's like those are still the kids you're going to play against
yeah.
for the next years to come. So you still got to be as good as you can be in that league.
Yeah, so like taking like what you learned from your time youth hockey, junior college, and now professionally, like what are some tips you'd give players looking to get to that next level?
Yeah, I think one thing is I know we kind of talked about it at the very beginning of this podcast with like off ice training and kind of the summer work is really don't take for granted the summer months. I think what I've really come to learn is you can take a lot of strides in those summer months
Yeah,
if you really commit yourself to getting better in the gym, getting stronger, getting faster, and then also working with a coach on the ice. Like, what do they see that you need to work on? It's like I can show up to the rink every day and work on what I want to work on,
yeah.
but that's only going to get me so far, and I need to work on what a coach sees fit for me. And I think just having a skills coach in the summer has allowed me to really take strides in my game.
Yeah, and like you just like you said, like it's more like of like an open mind. Like, yeah, you have your things that you have to work on that you think, but like just have that open minded, that other point of view with the coach and like what you need to work on from him just to get to, because he knows your game, he knows what you need to improve on to get to that next level.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously as year goes by and year after year, you always see some new skills coming out, some new
Yeah.
things that like, yeah, I didn't work on that last summer. Like let's work on that. Like maybe that'll help me in a game this year. And sometimes too, it's like you work on stuff that yeah, this might translate into a game and I might use it, but I also might not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I'm just working on getting that 1% better every single day. That's going to help me in the long run.
Yeah, that 1% better is what matters. Like if you add it up every single day, 365% better than than the year before.
Yeah. And I think too, like a big thing also is like the summertime is also like a great time for you to really work on your habits.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing. Like you go out sometimes and just like go through the motions if you wanted, but I think if you can really hone in good practice habits like and good work ethic, that just translates over to the season and you're picking up running when the season starts.
Yeah, exactly. You're already picking up right where you left off before before the summer started, and you're able to get right back into it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's big because you don't want to go into a season and try to feel it out. You just want to be able to jump right in and go.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have one more question for you before we wrap things up here. So like what's like your game day routine, whether it be like home or away? Like what do you do before the game to get ready?
Yeah, I might be probably like dialed to a T same time every single day. Um, Eat the same breakfast normally on a game day, like a good breakfast sandwich, or break it down into like a nice bagel, some eggs and
Yeah,
bacon and sausage. Um, I love the morning skate on game days. I think no matter what, like if we have a morning skate, I'll go out and skate just to kind of feel the puck a little bit. And for me, it's also just a chance to get the I don't know if I can swear on here, but it's get the
go
shitty
for it.
out. Like,
Yeah,
if there's gonna be any shittiness in my game, I'd rather get it out in the morning and not have to worry about it at the game. Um, and then I eat about 6 hours before the game. Always eat chicken and pasta with some red sauce, and then get a nice like 30-minute nap in after. Wake up, take a cold shower, and I like to get to the rink about 3 hours before a game. I know it's early, but I think just kind of sitting at home, it's like a little awkward. It's a little
yeah.
anxious, and I'd rather just be at the rink, like getting focused and doing whatever I need to do to dial in for that night.
Yeah, you just gotta do whatever you can to get dialed in, and like whether that be at the rink 4 hours before, 3 hours, two, like whatever you gotta do to get dialed, like that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, and everyone's different. Everyone's got their own routine, and I like to be a little more focused than some guys who like to be relaxed. But everyone's different in how they prepare.
That's still a great routine to have, and like it just makes you perform better.
Yeah, I think, and there's always going to be that one thing that goes a little different every single
Yeah.
day, but you just gotta kind of roll with it, and you have those set things that, hey, if I'm there a minute late, like whatever, like that's fine, it's no big deal. But you just kind of have those main things that, like, this is what I'm gonna do every single day, and that's how I'm gonna prepare.
Yeah, it's not going to destroy how you play because you get there 2 minutes late.
Exactly. Yeah, you have those few things that gotta happen, but those are always able to control, and then the rest is kind of go with the flow a little bit.
Absolutely. But Shane, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck this season with the Reading Royals, and just go out there and perform and do your thing.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jack. It was a pleasure being here on the podcast.
I appreciate that.